um, quickly running through this. So we spoke about the ways that you can deal with your emotional abuse. Okay, get professional help and guidance if needed. Prioritize your self-care. Usually such questions don't come for your 5 marks. 10 marks I don't think will be from this chapter. So you have to do like say 2-3 marks. So you have to just prepare enough topics like 2-3 points of these. Okay, now next is managing emotions. Okay, managing in the major difference. So we read about these when we were reading about some when we read in the chapter, we read about some examples that one person's father had died and still he was coping well, and a lot of another girl just failed an exam, but she was just not wanting to study ever again and all those things. Okay, so a major difference in that is individual's choice. So managing emotion is very much a question of your choice. You may not totally be in control of what exactly is happening. Okay, so um, you may not be in control of your situation, but how you deal with it is something you're definitely directly associated with. Okay, the next one is huh, so you have to, how you react is totally on your in your own hands. So clearly there are a few people who are self-aware, that is they know themselves well and are able to express their emotions in a healthy manner. Okay, managing emotions can be defined as the ability to be open to feelings and modulate them in oneself and others so as to promote personal understanding and growth. So basically managing emotion is your how you're able to open, be open to your feelings, what you feel them. Like I had given an example of how we are not allowed to feel some emotions. Like for example, after the death, some people only come for counseling because they think that my mother died, I'm feeling happy about it. So there's no problem in that child who's feeling relieved and happy when the mother died, because she saw the mother suffering. So you have to be open to your feelings, but she's like, oh my god, how can I feel that way? It's not right. Am I a bad person? Does that make me a narcissist? It's not like that. It's just that you have to be open to your feelings, and then you have to be able to modulate them. Okay, whatever you feel, you can't change. I mean, you cannot deny the fact that if somebody insulted you, you felt bad. Okay, you just can't say नहीं नहीं मुझे खराब नहीं लगा, ऐसा नहीं है. If you felt bad, just be open to them and modulate them. Okay, so that is your definition. So as to promote personal growth and understanding and promote personal understanding and growth. Okay, the limbic system is the emotional section, which is the oldest part of the brain, and I had explained this, that the lower part of the brain is your oldest. It's like your hind brain, then comes your mid brain, and then your forebrain, the thinking part. Was like the prefrontal cortex, which is right in front. That was your thinking part, and it had developed later. It was a thinking part of your brain. So it developed later, and that is the reason why um, a lot of times emotions hijack our thinking, because they are the oldest. They've existed for a longer period of time, and a lot of times we act impulsively, like animals snap back. If they get angry, they might just attack you, even if you've been friends with them, like say lions and tigers and everything. Okay, so yeah, so you may react impulsively, and that leads to wrong decisions or a major downfall, like in your career, relationships. Like you got angry, you ended a relationship, but it might not really be good. Or you just got angry and you left a job, okay, because you reacted impulsively. And then if you think about it, I shouldn't have done this, I should have overreacted. So emotional intelligence basically involves the ability to understand and manage one's emotions. Okay, this is very important. Understand and manage your emotion is what emotional intelligence is. And IQ, your how intelligent you are, how good you score, only helps you get a job. How well you manage it and you survive in it is all dependent on your emotional quotient. So it's managing emotion is art as well as a science. Okay, as it is a form of expression. You feel that your life becomes beautiful, and basically it's an expression because you're happy, and it's also a science because you can study to have a structured scientific approach where you can maintain balance, harmony. How do you work through it? All of that is helped with your understanding of emotions. Okay, now they have specially spoken about anger management. Okay, by the way, some research recently has shown that there's a lot of increased aggression and violence in the younger generation today as compared to what it was a few years back. A lot of it can be also because of media. We play a lot of violent media, video games, and all of those things. Okay. Okay. What is anger? Anger is basically a natural emotion expressing dislike or primary natural emotion expressing dislike or displeasure. Okay. Dislike and displeasure is the key word here. Um, oops. Okay. Though many a times, it may be unwanted and irrational, because a lot of people are just habituated to get angry, but it is a very common emotion. Everybody experiences it from time to time. It is a common way of releasing also the negative feeling which is arising towards a person or a situation or event or a thing. Okay, something that annoys you, disappoints you, someone you think has done wrong. Like those children who feel that, oh my god, there's so much control. One day the children will burst out in anger, telling parents that, oh, you're controlling me a lot, you're not trusting me, you should trust me. They get angry because the child is not doing anything wrong and the parents are still kind of doubting them. So anger it helps you relieve your frustration, and sometimes it also helps you express something that you wouldn't have been able to express otherwise, because you think like, oh my god, how do I do it, how do I say it, that kind of a thing. Okay. So you know yeah so to a layperson, anger is considered only a negative emotion, but it is also a protective emotion which helps people defend themselves from physical or psychological threats. So if you get angry, you don't do this, or in anger, for example, um if somebody is trying to attack you and in anger you attack them back, that how do you, just because I'm a girl, why are you trying to attack me, it can probably save you from a physical threat or maybe a psychological threat. Okay. Even someone like Kailash Satyarthi says that anger is a very positive emotion, because just because he felt angry, he had rescued a child and the child was angry with him. The child shouted at him saying that, where were you for these many days? And that's when he realized that, oh my god, for me it's like if I go today or rescue, or go tomorrow or rescue a child, for me it's like I just rescued a child, but for that child it is one more day of suffering and torture. So anger can also be positive. Okay, but if it goes out of your if out of your control, then it's a problem. Okay, now your cerebral cortex basically is the thinking center of the brain, which means that yeah, it is a part of your forebrain or logical reasoning judgment. The emotional center of the brain is your limbic system. More primitive, older part is your limbic. Emotional, again, limbic system. Amygdala is a part of limbic system, so it's an older emotional. It that is what helps you expressing anger. So a lot of times, what happens when you're angry? And I was working with juvenile observation home. Okay, there were boys who had done. I was working with the boys, so I'm just giving example of them. So they got extremely angry, like seeing the father come home every day drunk, hitting the mother. One day, a boy got angry, took the stool and hit the father. Okay, the father fell against the wall and against the TV. So then, obviously, the boy was in juvenile observation home. Okay, so why? Because anger, and he couldn't control his thoughts. A lot of time, when parents get angry, a lot of times they start hitting their children, and a lot of times children die. They don't realize that they don't have the intention to do that, but sometimes that happens. Why? Because anger, and you're not in control of, you can't think. So anger is the lower part of your brain, right above your neck, and your thinking part comes in the forehead, which is right in front of your forehead. Forebrain is thinking. The back of your head is your emotional side, and your emotion gets so much in control of your front side that it kind of affects you. Okay. Your amygdala is amygdala is a storehouse of emotional memories, plays important role in emotional outbursts, and it sends the data to limbic or cortex area of the brain, and emotional charge. Amygdala, in fact, the people who commit suicide, okay, they are also in that zone. Amygdala is so much in control of that they can't think rationally, and in a snap they commit suicide. It's not easy. Say if you go and stand in front of a big building, 20th floor, you look down, you'll get scared. That's a natural response. Why? Because you're thinking, your forebrain is working. When you're too emotionally loaded with emotional memories and too many emotions, then what happens is, you don't have fear, because you're not thinking. You're just like, you're not thinking logically that, oh my god, if I fall, there's no looking back. and you just act in a snap of a movement. And that's why, when that snap is broken, like for example, if you're about to jump and somebody called and that ring comes and you get distracted, and that is when your forebrain comes into thinking, that, oh, what am I doing? So amygdala can actually take control over your actions, and you impulsively act, and you will have to regret those consequences. Okay. Let's see. Triggers of anger. What makes you anger? Verbal. So abusive language, feeling of being disrespected, devalued. What is it verbally that makes you angry? Scolded, shamed, labeled. Non-verbally, what makes you angry? Through gestures, facial expressions. um you know um like for example, a weird look, smirk, or a feeling of being unloved, unappreciated. Even unappreciated, a lot of times parents, they have so many or even we have so many expectations out of our own selves that we never appreciate ourselves for the good we do. We only criticize ourselves for, if you got bad marks in one exam, you will only criticize yourself, I'm so bad, I'm so bad, I'm so bad. There's no appreciation. That can also lead to anger. Your violation of your personal space. India mein to personal space ka concept hi nahi hota. Parents only decide what you're supposed to eat, what you're supposed to study, what you're supposed to, they have to keep an eye on everything, who you're talking to, what you're talking to, even if they know you're in a relationship, what are you doing, all of those things. So that can also lead to anger. Anger is expressed emotionally, so you're feeling cognitively through your thinking, and it is expressed physically through your body changes, and behaviorally through actions. So these are the different ways anger can be expressed, and there may be different reasons to be angry. Overall, three are involved. First is your trigger, which causes anger. Second is personality character traits, and the third is interpretation of the situation. So trigger is something which kind of, trigger का मतलब होता है वो gun में जो that button, what do you call that, it's called a trigger. When you pull it,
That that is
correct,
only called a trigger, yeah.
exactly, that's called a trigger. It means that it triggers firing. So trigger is something, for example, if from childhood people have been calling you a particular thing, like say a potato, or they've been calling you fat. So even if masti mein, if I call you pyar se fat, then it might trigger a lot of anger because you have associated negative memories with it. Then your personality characteristics. So some people are phlegmatic personality, they will not feel so, they are fearful, shy, introverts. But some people who are like very choleric, they might come across as very someone who are higher on neuroticism, like we studied those ocean factors, neuroticism higher, they might, you know um, they might show more anger. Basically your personality characteristics are also important, and what you interpret of a situation. So if you interpret that this situation is meant for insulting me, then you will get angry. Okay. Basically you can anticipate and manage your anger when awareness is brought to your emotions, power and direction is brought to your life. So when you start focusing on your emotions instead of ignoring them and just acting out on them, if you ignore them, you will anyways act out on them. We feel ki nahi, I don't want to talk about, I'm feeling sad about this, I don't want to talk about it. By not talking about it, your behavior doesn't change. If you're sad about something, you'll remain to be sad. Usse acha, be aware of your emotions, and that's when you become powerful, because you'll be able to manage them. Okay, when you understand that the underlying reason for anger is to be able to anticipate potential anger episodes and deal with more appropriately, it helps, basically it helps you deal appropriately. Focus on your emotions. For example, people who commit suicide, most of them, students who commit suicide, they think I'm not good enough and I've never made my parents proud. Imagine if they expressed that to their parents, and the parents will just, because the parents may say कि भाई तुम अच्छे marks नहीं लाओगे तो हमारी मेहनत पानी में गई and all that, हमारा struggle पानी में गया and all that. But they don't mean to say that you're worthless if you don't score well and we don't love you. Parents have given you birth, they will anyways love you. But just because you kept that to yourself, kept it in your mind, maybe it led to a reaction which was not, and you were hopeless. You may have thought ki, mera kuch nahi ho sakta, I'm in a situation that I cannot come out. But if you go to a counselor will see that there are 10 people who've come before you and they've become better after a few months. So another person can help you give perspective that okay, you're not in a situation ki jo kabhi theek hi nahi hoga. Okay, that's why it's very important. And the reason I'm going through this chapter also is because a lot of students, especially in the 12th, are facing a lot of emotional problems. So it's important to know that, and that's why I see they've not they've hardly cut anything from this chapter. Okay. The next one is, okay, if we are attuned and aware of our triggers, we're better able to predict our own response and make choices to not respond in an angry manner. So you become more observant and aware of what is going to trigger. So you know that, okay, you're aware that someone calling you fat makes you angry. So you become observant and aware that, okay, she's calling me fat, but I don't have to engage with it. You take the measures to talk yourself in a more acceptable response, avoid intentionally, for like you take an effort to not give an uncalled an unrequired reaction to something. Okay, and your thoughts and emotions are controlled by your cortex, okay, enabling you to strategize and get less emotionally charged. Okay. Our cortex is like the front, the upper layer of your brain, so frontal cortex, it's the, and these limbic system and all, they're inside. So that is cortex is what controls emotional management. Okay, what is this? Okay, as the experience of anger is subjective, it can be controlled too. Okay, it's anger is one of the most cathartic emotion. Catharsis means, like I told you again in the I told you about Sigmund Freud, those soldiers who came back and had bodily reactions. All they had to do is share, and that was catharsis. So sharing automatically helped an emotional release. So whatever pain they had in their mind was released because they shared. Okay, so that's why anger can be an effective cleanser of emotional system. A lot of things, a lot of pent up emotions that, oh, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with this, and you got angry and you expressed it out. So it can clean your emotional system. So when you said angrily, you said everything that you had a problem with, you feel, okay, harsh, I was not able to express this to my parents, I said it. Okay, however, when it becomes a habit, and you lose power to control them, that becomes an obstacle. So in front of your boss also you will do the same thing, which might not be a great idea. Okay, so anger management helps you create awareness. So basically, anger management is to deploy anger successfully to your advantage rather than creating chaos in your life. So basically, you're using anger positively to anger is what makes you, like a lot of people, like that guy uh, who made a road through the mountains alone. Why? Because his wife was ill and he couldn't take her to the hospital because there was no road because of the mountain. And when he reached the hospital too late, he got angry, he made the road. One guy got angry that everybody is destroying the environment. He alone made a whole hill, he planted so many trees and he made the whole place green. So anger can also be positive. Effective ways of anger management can be, first, it includes two perspectives. One is you have to manage your anger, and second is learn how to respond effectively to anger in other people. Okay, first is you have to take responsibility for anger. If you always say that he makes me angry, no, that's not how it works. You have to, it's called internal locus of control. You have to start saying that you have to exercise free choice of freedom to control your life. So you say that I am getting angry, and you are, obviously somebody is doing something which is not fair. Okay, like that boy whose father was beating the mother, it was not fair. Certainly you will say that the father made the boy angry, but no, you have to take responsibility that the boy got angry. The boy could have done another thing, like called the police, if he was not angry. Okay, so anger, once you start taking responsibility for that, then you can start being able to control. You will be able to evaluate and regulate. It will give you the opportunity to do that and use your innate ability to think rationally, make correct decisions. The 3 R's are relax, reassess, and respond. First is uh, okay, relaxation and connection with the inner self, which helps you like focus on yourself. In anger, you are in a vulnerable state, so that so you reach conclusions and decisions very quickly. What, I'm going to leave this house and just go. I'm not going to stay with my parents any longer, or something like that. Usse acha just relax, keep a connection with your inner self, do things like meditation, music, engage in hobbies, social work, so that it gives you some time, and it gives you a calm, stable state, which gives you enough time to recover and manage your anger rather than impulsively immediately react. In Buddhism, they say that when you get angry, just don't react. The longer you hold your reaction time, the better it is. So what happens when you get angry and we snap immediately? Usse acha, keep a break. The more you're able to control your reaction and your anger. So you got angry and you reacted immediately, that's bad. But if you got angry and you react, you give it some time, then you will not react, you will respond. So that is there. This is feelings thermometer. Yeah, the third one is take complete responsibility of your emotion rather than blaming it on someone else. Okay, that empowers you to. So basically, you have to say that, okay, this is because if you blame it on other people, then you will never be able to get over it, because you're blaming, okay, because I'm angry because of my friend. But who's coming for counseling? You're coming for counseling, right? So, or you want to deal with anger, which means that you have to, the more you take it as your own personal thing that I'm getting angry, you'll be able to control it better. So yeah, basically, yeah, you're paying attention and shifting on and your needs, and you are not anyways. So the point of that is basically that you accept responsibility for your personal choices, and you say that I got angry, and that's how you'll be able to get over it easily. So that finishes our chapter. Oh yeah. Oh no, not yet. Sorry, you have to still develop empathy. Empathy is that when you get angry, one thing that can help you slow down is basically thinking from the other person's perspective. Okay, like you see your father's beating your mother, obviously there's reason for you to get angry, but also understand that your father comes from a background where he was hit by his parents. He's not educated as you are. He did not get to go to a school probably, or maybe even if he's educated, maybe he did not have the kind of awareness that you have after studying psychology. So empathy will help you reduce your anger. Okay, or if somebody's troubling you, maybe you can just see that, okay, they are jealous of you. So that will change your emotions from anger to, okay, I understand that this person, I have achieved something and that person is jealous of me, so that person is angry. Another one is use compassion. So realize that everybody has their own emotional problems. Okay, so if they get angry, doesn't mean that they are just kind of kind of snapping at you. Just realize that probably they had something, some frustration or some other things which are much more than you. You might feel that my boss is doing this and he's getting angry, but maybe your boss is going through a very bad time. He's a boss. In COVID, he has to pay so many employees. Okay, so that using compassion will help you. And it will help you. You have to decide for yourself if you want to tolerate or not tolerate, and you have to set boundaries whether you want to get this or not. Okay, and then conduct a reality check, which is basically of the situation. See everything, because when we are angry, we only see from our perspective. Go from a third person's perspective to see what exactly happened. Gather more evidence that why did your parents say this to you. Your parent maybe got angry on something that you didn't do, but just see that maybe in the past you may have done something that may have made them thought that, oh, this child only must have done it, or maybe somebody else went and told your parents that you did something and you got very angry on your parents, but maybe that other person must have said something just to mess with you. So get a larger thing of your situation. Respond, so use anger as a motivation to change. Re-engage, resolve the conflict. Okay, we made the short form for this, the things under respond for case, double CACE. Yeah, good that you remember. And for this, the second point was RECR, it's like recording, RECR. Okay. um yeah, so 3 R's. The first one, the first R, which is reassess, has the short form RECR. So E stands for empathy, C stands for compassion, R stands for responsibility. So take responsibility, and the other R stands for reality check. Okay, and this one is case, CASE. So respond and use anger as a motivation to change. Anger is telling you something. That is a time when you re-engage and resolve the conflict. Okay, so respond to your anger, don't react to it. Consult somebody you trust, a trusted family member. They might give you another perspective to handle a situation. For example, you're angry with your sibling, consult your parent. Your parent, you might just be angry that your sibling never gave time to you or something like that, but maybe your parent will tell you that your sibling is going through these problems, or sibling was bullied, or went through all of these things, and that's why. Or maybe the sibling felt that when you were born, the sibling did not get enough attention and had to compromise, that's why the sibling hates you. So try to consult a family member and see if you can talk that through and clear misconceptions, so that there is no other problem. So that can, when you're angry with something or someone, it can be used as an opportunity to resolve conflicts. The second one is engage in talks with other parties. So be calm, mindful, contact, like for example, I'll give you the biggest example, a fight between two communities or two countries that lasts forever, but the more you increase the contact, you feel that, oh my god, the other community is not really that bad, because we just, prejudice just increases with age and generation. So the more you contact those people, like maybe your parents must have, like for example, a lot of time in divorce also, the mother will say that forget communities. Even in a regular, like the mother will tell the child, your father was this, your father was that, he left me, he went away, he was a very horrible man, don't talk to him. And for example, when the child grows up, in most cases, okay, that happens, when they grow up and they meet the parent, they meet the father, the child has so much unresolved anger and hatred towards the father, because they've heard the mother say things to the child. The mother must have said it normally, but a child internalizes it very, like the child takes it as God's words or patthar ki lakeer. And when the child goes and meets the father, the child has this unresolved anger. He meets the father and he feels that, oh my god, my father's not so bad, he's not as bad as my mother told me he was, you know. So engage with the other person, and that will help you with your anger, the and resolving conflict. The third is active listening. Be articulate, listen more effectively, because you may just see your own perspective, understand the other person's perspective. Next is speak assertively, stand up for your feelings and emotions, exhibit what you have to. Okay. Positive communication will obviously help you have a more meaningful relationship. And cage your rage, basically guard yourself against ex, escalation of your own anger. So basically, when you get extremely angry, sometimes there was another hypothesis which said that frustration aggression hypothesis, that when you get angry and you start hitting a child, you get more angry and you hit them more. Matlab, when you started, you were not as angry as when you got after physically engaging in that. Like again, which can be explained by facial feedback hypothesis, because you're doing a certain physiological thing, your brain gets a message that, oh, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry, and that increases your anger. So usse acha cage your rage, don't let it escalate too much, don't justify your anger ki, oh, I'm right, it's fine to be angry. So basically, anger management is a skill which can be acquired through practice. Logging how you went through managing, so making a log, as in putting a record through a book, how did you go through emotional management, will help you give a sense of pride and accomplishment. And it will raise and upgrade your social skills, manage conflict situations, and achieve your goals and fulfill your dreams and aspirations in life. So that's it. That ends the chapter. Any questions? No. Okay, great. So, hmm? Okay. So the fifth and the sixth chapter are the two chapters we'll go more in depth, because they have, and because they have a lot. Huh? I didn't hear you.
Twinkle.
Done with fifth, no?
Yeah. That's why, I mean, done with fifth. Don't worry. No more of fifth. But fifth and sixth chapter more in depth, because they are important. Fifth is important in your personal life also, and plus it has a lot of content which needs to be remembered. Okay. So hold up. Oops. Cancel. Wait.